Okay, I was muted again. I don't know what happens. This thing hates me. Okay, hello. Thank you. Good call. Razor Edge. Okay, I figured out a couple of things. Thing one that I figured out. I've been having this reoccurring. Hearing the music. I think you should be hearing me now. I think I fixed it. I figured out this issue I've been having with the capture. If you've been around for a bit, you know that one of my capture cards was having this weird thing where, like, even though capture is 16:9, the capture window was like, oh, you guys can't see what I see, but it was like weirdly changing this 16:9 window to be not 16:9 anymore. So I fixed that in OBS because it's an OBS problem, not a capture card problem, because I tried a different capture card in the same OBS scene. I don't know if you guys know how OBS scenes work, but yeah, it works by, like, you configure like what you want to see on different scenes, and I can switch it back and forth between different capture cards and things. So I just nuked that scene and I created a whole new one, and now it works fine. So I don't know what the heck was happening, but yeah, we should be able to do side-by-side comparisons again. So we will be doing a side-by-side comparison tonight. I want to talk about one other thing, but I'll just give you a little demo, a little preview, I suppose. We've got the FlippyDrive here. We've got PicoBoot here. I've already installed the SD2SP2 Pro 2, but we'll talk about it first. I wanted to pre-test it to make sure it worked, because I bought two 1 terabyte SD cards. Hey, Obi-Wan. I bought two 1 terabyte SD cards. If you know anything about the size of the North American GameCube catalog, well, maybe you don't know how large it is. It's about 600-ish gigabytes. So unfortunately, it won't fit on a single 512 gigabyte SD card, but it fits on a 1 terabyte, at least the North American thing. So I have 1 terabyte in the FlippyDrive, and I've got 1 terabyte in the PicoBoot. So we pretty much have pretty much every North American game. Actually, not pretty much. We have every North American game except for like the action replays and things, because those are available. So we can do some comparisons tonight. We're gonna go look up some games to try to compare. I don't really have a strategy. I don't really have a game plan for that yet. We'll get to it, but that's what we're gonna be doing tonight. But before we get to that, I figured out, if you've been watching the Micro 8088 build, you know I've been having problems getting DOS to load from these compact flash disks that I was using. So these are these Transcend brand ones. I think I got them on AliExpress, so they're pretty inexpensive. It hasn't been loading on this. However, on a different computer, I have been using these verbatim flash drives. Okay, so these are both 2 gigabyte, right? Now, I learned something about, there's 2 types of modes, I suppose you could say, for these compact flash drives. There's fixed disk, or yeah, something like that, fixed disk, and then there's like removable disk, right? So they're 2 different modes, and the removable mode is less likely to work with XTCF. So unfortunately, the Transcend disk is in that removable storage mode, and I can't convert it. There's a utility that you should be able to at least try. I think it only works with maybe SanDisk or something. It's like a brand specific or something. It doesn't work with these Transcend ones. These are pretty much garbage for computer retro PCs, even though they're inexpensive. But I can't get any more of these verbatim ones on Amazon. So if you can find these verbatim ones, I believe these are going to work for you. So I already had a DOS install on here from a different computer, and it booted up on the 8088 no problem. So I do know, but I'm having a hard time getting these. So what I did was I ordered. There's actually 2 types of these Transcend discs. Okay, there's this brand that does not mention, or this type, it doesn't mention industrial on it at all, right? But then there's a Transcend Industrial, which is, so that's the two differences. Transcend has this normal type that doesn't say industrial, and then they have an industrial type, and that's the two differences, right? The industrial is the fixed disc, and the not industrial is the removable disc. So you want the industrial ones. Now, those are kind of hard to get too. I actually went to eBay, and I eBayed a used Transcend industrial disc. Hey, JD Silva. So now I've got a used compact flash card coming. So I'm hoping that that is going to work for my Micro 8088 build. I guess a couple more housekeeping things on that build. I did end up going to my dad's, and he helped me cut the acrylic. I didn't take the cardboard piece off, but this is a clear acrylic. I still have to drill holes in it and countersink those holes, but this is going to be a clear side panel for the side of the Micro 8088. So here's the current build, right? I did start printing the replacement because Retro World is coming up next weekend. I started printing. So I use my Bamboo Labs printer. I do have the two-tone faceplate. Now, you're not supposed to leave this white. You see, there is like a white border. The STL file for this, the wording here includes this border, but if I don't have a good way of removing it, how you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to print on your printer, your 3D printer. You're supposed to print just the lettering first, and then pick this part off the build plate, and then you're supposed to print on top of it. So I think this is cool looking. I did print some buttons. There's supposed to be some buttons in the front here. However, there's a smudge. This print had a smudge. This is supposed to be a white button. So I've got a white button for the power button, and then I've got a black button. I guess I could have done like blue or something because it's an IBM, but I've got these two buttons. So there's going to have a black one for the reset and a white one for the power. And then it's going to have the clear side panel. It'll be good enough for Retro World, at least, to bring it to Retro World and show it off. I don't really have a way to like connect it to anything. I guess I could try to bring, I don't know. It's kind of close. I know that what's his name? Steve, the CRT guy. What the heck's his YouTube? Why can't I remember his Retrotech? Retrotech? Yeah, Retrotech US. He's gonna be at Retro World, and he's gonna have some monitors, some PVMs. But I don't know if I want to like, hey, well, you want to like connect this IBM to your thing all day and just leave it around? I don't know. It's kind of sus, but I at least want to. I know that LGR, Lazy Game Reviews, Clint is going to be there, and I want him to autograph the side panel if you would, if I meet him. So he's going to autograph this clear bit, and then it's going to be on there. So that's kind of cool. I'm excited about that. That's going to be next weekend. Like I said, I have 2 goals at Retro World. 2 things that I'm looking for. I guess really 3. I'm always looking for cheap Game Boy Advances because those are such a pain in the butt to buy now. They're so expensive. So anytime I could find something below like $80 or whatever the eBay price is, I snag a Game Boy Advance because they're ridiculously overpriced right now. The other thing I'm looking for is the matching Game Boy player for the Indigo GameCube. I don't care if it has the Game Boy player. I want it to not have the Game Boy player disc, actually, because that makes it cheaper to buy. So I'm looking for a loose Game Boy player that matches the Indigo here. And last but not least, I'm looking for a 32X, a Sega 32X, because I will be building a Neptune. So eventually I'll be building a Neptune, and I want to see if I can snag a good, those are going for about $130 or so on eBay, 110, 120, 130 on eBay. So if I can get any of those 3 things, then I'll be happy, I suppose. Or I'm always looking for new 3DS XLs because those are also really high priced. I don't care at all about any software or anything, so yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all I got to talk about beforehand. Just looking around my room, I think that's pretty much it. I did also buy some crimpers I've never had these before. I bought some crimpers, these iCrimp, otherwise known as iWis or iWis or iSwiss or something. This is a crimper for Molex connectors, aka or not Molex, DuPont connectors, which are like the black. Yeah, they're kind of the same pin pitch that like a jumper is. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's heavily used with the pins on the Micro 8088, so I had to buy that because I didn't have a crimper. So it's insane how retro handhelds are so expensive. Yeah, I mean, it's really just those. Things that are cheap are like the DS Lite can be found for pretty cheap. Unfortunately, also DMGs are high too. You can find a Game Boy Pocket for cheaper than you can find a DMG. Because if you have a good quality, like a good condition DMG, those go for over $80, say like $80 to $100, just new, nothing done to it. You know, it could have even if it has a nasty, as long as the shell is clean. I don't know, just it's kind of nuts. So, just looking to snag some things. I don't really know if anybody has any ideas. I'm open to things to look for. Okay, let's do a thing. We will have to install Swiss or put Swiss onto this. Now, I'm pretty confident that last time we had my PicoBoot apart, I think we must have installed the most recent version of the PicoBoot software. But what I would like to do, I guess, is first things first. I want to see if I have to take my my PicoBoot apart to update that. So hold on, hold them horses. When was the most recent PicoBoot? Here we go, PicoBoot. I've been seeing Game Boy Pockets going for more than Game Boy Colors. Yeah, I mean, Game Boy Colors, in theory, should be going for more than Pockets because there's really not that much you can do with a Pocket. Because most of the time, if you're going for a Pocket form factor Game Boy Color, like the Game Boy Pocket, or Game Boy Pocket Color, I mean, like I built. Let's see. Oh, fuck. Things just fell over. Whoops. Rip. So if you're trying to build a Game Boy Pocket and hopefully not crack the plastic like I cracked the plastic screwing this one together, that's kind of sucks. But if you're going to build a Pocket Color like I built, you buy an aftermarket shell. You don't use a real Pocket shell. And you use, if you're going to build a Pocket Color, you're going to use the CPU of a Game Boy Color. So really, Pockets are probably the least valuable in the sense of modding because I don't really see a point of it. You know, DMGs are more nostalgic, I think. And if you're going to build a Pocket, you might as well build a Pocket Color if you're going to build one out, I suppose. So, yeah, that's all. Swiss is already FlippyDrive. No, so Obi-Wan, I mean, I hope that are there any firmware updates I need to make to the PicoBoot itself? So I know that there are some speed improvements through Swiss itself. Like you need both a FlippyDrive or a PicoBoot and Swiss to make sure that those are at a new version to use the 2.0 speeds. But yeah, I do. Oh, Swiss is already on. Okay, yeah, you're right. Obi-Wan, that's a good call. Never mind. Okay, I forgot that it's already on the FlippyDrive, whatever it is, the file, the firmware, whatever. Okay, good. So I need to figure out if I have to do anything. I don't think I do. I think we updated it to the most recent. Oh, there was a. Oh, there was just an update to the pins. I don't think this gives us any benefits though for. I guess I have to make sure that we have everything that we might need. It was definitely after November that I did that video where I updated all of my 3 GameCubes. That was pretty recently. That was in the last like month or two. So I know for sure that we have at least PicoBoot. Excuse me, this version 3. I don't know if I have version 4 because that was literally like last week. But I don't know if I need it to take advantage of any of the SD2 SP2 2.0 stuff. FlippyDrive doesn't have the latest version, and it's a fork. Okay, interesting. But in theory, I should be able to load the newest version of Swiss on FlippyDrive, right? I see what you're saying, how the version of Swiss that comes on the FlippyDrive is a fork, and it's not, obviously it's not the most up-to-date version. Grab the latest release and put it as boot.dll. Okay, so let's do that. I don't think I need to... thanks for showing up, Extrems. I didn't reach out or anything, but yeah. I don't. So we shouldn't have to do anything to the PicoBoot. I have the latest version of Swiss on here as of today because I was making sure that the 1 terabyte SD card loaded all the games. So this is working fine now. We'll talk about the SD2SP2 Pro and a 2.0 in a second. I'll show you that. I mean, it's basically like the old one. It looks pretty much like the old one. Just need to swap it out. But we might as well snag the latest version of Swiss and oops, put it on here. I already have it. I mean, I just got to name it the right thing. So putting it as boot.dll on the FlippyDrive's SD card, does that mean it will boot directly to Swiss instead of QBoot? Okay, so it's in here. So Swiss dll, copy, removable, and then we name it boot.dll. Okay, I'm not sure. Well, let's test it. All right, let's. So that means Swiss now is on the FlippyDrive. It'll override QBoot. Okay. I guess. Do I want to do that right now? All right. We will do that, but first I want to show QBoot. There is a limitation of QBoot. I kind of wanted to see side-by-side comparisons. I know this is just like it's like a silly science experiment, but I want to do comparisons loading from QBoot and Swiss side by side. So Swiss through the SD2SP2 Pro 2 and the just FlippyDrive itself. See if there's differences there. I know that there may be different compatibility. Somebody just knocking on my door. There might be different compatibility between how Swiss can load things through the FlippyDrive and how QBoot can load things through the FlippyDrive. But you know, I just want to do QBoot versus, not versus. I mean, it's really just to see. I know that there's a document on the FlippyDrive documentation that has a list of games that may not load or have trouble loading. Plus, there's also the document on somewhere out there. There's it may be not like a well updated list or a very recently updated list, but there is a version that has games that haven't loaded or have difficulties loading, and that's kind of an old list. So we'll see if okay, so what am I doing here? I'm going to comment out, or I'm going to change the name. Where is it? Oh, it's alphabetical. Okay, let's just call this Swiss. Ooh, I think also though we should be able to boot from Swiss, boot into Swiss from QBoot, right? Is there a limitation there? Is there a reason that is different or worse than directly loading from? Oh my God, this thing is hot. This SD card is hot. Is that any better or worse? Okay. All right, let's just check out before we turn these things on. We'll just check out. So we'll move the FlippyDrive one aside. And so here's where in the link in the description, there is a link to Bonzo's Retro Shop. He's been kind of a friend to the channel, and he has his own store where he makes and sells some of these open source things. I do have the original version, so I didn't like hammer this point home, but Extrems did design his own iteration of the original, I guess, SD2SP2 to, it adds all the circuitry that you need to make this a 2.0 speed device, okay? But all along, Xtremps was basically saying, this is basically for my development to develop Swiss. You probably shouldn't buy this, or maybe he didn't say that, but I'm saying people shouldn't have bought this because it was only a matter of time before there was going to be a right angle version of this. So if you don't know, the original, if you try to put the original SD2SP2, the non-pro version, into a GameCube, right? It's just gonna stick. It's just gonna stick straight up. So it says this side face inside. Okay. So this would be the original one, right? So you basically would not have any access to the SD card if you had, let's say, the Game Boy player on the bottom, because it covers up the whole bottom. Right, so that's why somebody designed, where is it? I have a couple of versions floating around here somewhere. This one. So this is the original. Actually, this is the clone version of the original. The original. Oh, never mind. It's in here. I think the one that Rugol or whatever his name is, the one that Rugol designed is in my my GC loader one. It's inside here. I'm not taking the. It's just, trust me, I have an original one, but I also have this clone one from AliExpress or wherever it's from, with a stupid misspelling of Pro. But this is the non-2.0 speed version, but really the benefit is that the SD card is at a right angle, so it's kind of a little bit of an upgrade from the original. Well, that's not the original, but a non-right angle one to a right angle one allows you to access the SD card from the outside of the console without needing to take apart the GameCube. So let's get these two out of the way. Now that's where so this is kind of the upgrade, right, from the SD2SP2 Pro, I know, stupid spell wrong, to the SD2SP2 Pro 2.0 has the additional circuitry here to give it the faster speed and still be able to access from the outside. So I have a link in the description for this updated version from Bonzo if you'd like to support the channel. It's an affiliate link. However, Bonzo also wanted to mention that there is also a SD Gecko 2.0, which is, it uses the same bus. So this port uses the SP2 bus. The slot 2 memory card here also uses that same bus. So if you didn't want to mess around with anything, these right angle adapters, whatever, you could also get the SD Gecko 2.0, which if you have it in the second memory card slot here, it should have the same speed as this SD2SP2 Pro. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people choose this over that because it's kind of like, it's kind of out of the way, and I don't know. I'm not really sure why. I just prefer this one. Don't know myself. But the the SD Gecko is cheaper. So if you do, So if you do want to save a couple of bucks, you can get the the SD Gecko instead of the SD2SP2 Pro 2. That's a super mouthful, Jesus Christ. But I think also if you order it from Bonzo Shop, he includes the Jeff Chen. So Jeff Chen designed these little gap fillers for the SD2SP2 Pro to kind of fill in the gap so you can't shove your SD card into your thing there. Only for DOL. Okay, yeah. So not all GameCubes have that exposed port, or the port there exposed. I guess that's worth noting. So you should check your GameCube to make sure that it has one before you buy that. So yes, I suppose as far as compatibility is concerned, and usability on multiple different GameCubes you might have, the SD Gecko is probably the more robust thing. It's the same speed, same bus. So they're on separate buses. Only memory card slot A is shared, and this trick doesn't work there. Wait, so that's interesting. So why then does the slot 2 have the same speed as the other one, as the SP2 Pro? I mean, I understand it's a hardware limitation thing, so I can understand that the speed limitations from here, if the speed limitation from this slot is coming from the adapter, the actual SD Gecko, and not necessarily, let's say, the bus, then it should share the same limitation as the the SP2 port. If you're very unlucky, you can also get a DOL 101 that has no serial port. Yeah, that's sus. So I think it comes down to the connection, I guess the adapter. I don't really know much beyond that. I have a feeling that it has something to do with, I mean, the differences between a 1.0 device like this old clone SD2SP2 Pro and an SD2SP2 2.0. It has something to do with the components that are added on here. I don't know if Xtrums feels like saying, you know, a short description of maybe what's changed, but there is an electrical difference between this one and you know, there's an upgrade. You can't just like you can't just magically get 2.0 speeds out of this adapter. Although I guess some people have bodged the necessary components onto this, but I don't know. Just spend the $10 whatever it is to get the latest. It's abusing the chip select line, and only those two ports have only one chip select each. Ooh, so this is like a cool hack, like a GameCube port hack or something. Oh, that's interesting. So it's like there's a chip in there, but there's nothing to select between these two ports. So it's kind of like you like double your data rate or something. Yeah, I have DOL 101 without serial port. You can literally wire it in manually like I did. Yeah, I'm sure you could probably find the schematic somewhere where you can manually add ports to consoles that don't have it. Okay. Interesting. All right, so I guess let's try to find. So I hope that kind of explains enough about why you want this version. I mean, I guess I don't 100% understand why it's necessary, but it is necessary to have a 2.0 device to get the faster speeds. It sounds like there's some kind of a hardware exploit that allows the GameCube to get a faster data rate out of these two, this port and the SD Gecko port, but it's not because they're on the same bus. So that's interesting. Okay. So I suppose let's try to find a list. So maybe we could start with the FlippyDrive one, because I know off the top of my head that there's one. FlippyDrive compatibility. The OR gate is for muting the GameCube's output while the DMA engine is running. Okay, interesting. So is that a fair oversimplification? Is you're kind of taking advantage of some like multiplexing or something of the port? So like you're getting double, or like you're doubling the speed or something? Not multiplexing, but you said it's some kind of a bank switching. Chip select line. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so here's that game compatibility list. So what I like about this, there is a different one for Swiss. And I think it might be old, but if you Google Swiss compatibility list, there is this other one on GC Forever. Okay, so, but it's basically for the most part, it's like a yes or no, does it work or not work? And, oh no, that's the list of SD cards that are compatible with it. Okay, I guess it's a little more sophisticated. It does have the version of Swiss, but we should be able to find ones here. Oh, this is a Japanese game, so I can't use that. This particular one says Bloody Roar Primal Fury. Is this an NTSC game? So if this is a game that I've got, we can try to load it. So does it say FMV has improved? So let's try to find an FMV for maybe this game or something. I'm working around some stupid design decisions in the SD card protocol. Interesting. Okay. So it's more complicated than just what I was saying. Okay, so we can also try this Def Jam Fight for NY. All right, let's just see if we can run across one of these issues. So I don't really have I don't have a second PicoBoot console, obviously, so I can't like go back. But we could try to see if the FlippyDrive has the same FMV issues. The point is just to try to find a title that we could do across a Mario Party 5. Okay, let's see if it's on this list. Oh, in this case, this one has, intro FMV, passive SD card adapter versus a semi-passive SD card adapter. Okay, so there's an intro sequence that we can check. Okay, let's try Mario Party, I suppose. It looks like it might be... I don't know what the difference between a passive SD card adapter and a semi-passive is. But let's try to boot up Mario Party 5. All right, so let's go to... excuse me. I've got this capture both. I've got to do some rejiggering here. I gotta set things up. So let's do video capture or video capture device, and then that. Oh gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna make them really tiny. Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna make this side tiny. This is gonna be half. It's gonna be half our screen. Is gonna be. I'll just turn it on. So this is the PicoBoot running Swiss. And then this one, let's get this out of here. This one is going to be the FlippyDrive. Here, I'll turn the music off for a minute. So the bottom right is FlippyDrive and PicoBoot. Oh, so while we're here, I wanted to talk about semi-passive is the technical name for these new adapters. Oh, interesting. Oh, so does that mean I have to change the adapter type? Okay, interesting. Semi-passive. All right, so that's good to know. So I'm glad that somebody went back and they updated this list. Maybe it was Extrems. But that's cool how we can actually see compatibility being worked on. So then that means, we should still be able to tell if there's compatibility issues with the FlippyDrive versus the latest and greatest sort of PicoBoot stuff. So I want Mario Party 5. So I wanted to talk about, there is a limitation with PicoBoot. So PicoBoot is the game loader so this is like the custom firmware, if you will. The custom firmware that is running on top of the FlippyDrive. Okay, so it's like the game menu too. Okay, so there is a limitation. If you try to load all of the games from North America, right? It gets to about. So you're going. This is alphabetical, right? So we're getting. Although I don't know, it's got some things mixed in here. Oh, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2. Okay, I see. It gets to about T. And then it stops because there's a limit of 1,000. Less than 1,000 titles can be displayed here. 1080 Avalanche. So that means if you have all of the titles from North America, or let's say you had like a 2 gigabyte or 2 terabyte SD card or something, and you wanted to like every single GameCube game ever made for every region. Currently with PicoBoot, there is a limitation of 1,000 titles. Versus, I can confidently say that there is no such limitation in Swiss. Okay, so currently you can just go ham. You can go out through every single letter. So we're going to cruise past T. So we got stuck at T before. Yep, T, there's T. Oh, there's U, there's W, V, all the way to the end. So this is every game. Every NTSC game. Yeah, folder support would be cool, and then I can organize my games like EverDrive style. It would be interesting if Smoke Monster would make a utility that would let you organize like the later. So, if you don't know, Smoke Monster has developed. I'm not going to get into it too much, but Smoke Monster developed these lists, these ROM set lists, which are basically ways of ways of categorizing the game, the like, let's say like NES, Super Nintendo, old ROM sets, right? So you could have ROM sets, and then Smoke Monster has this utility or whatever. I think I'm not sure if that's still available, but it would take all your ROMs and it would organize them into different folders so that they were kind of like unified. But it would be like, okay, here's your A through F or something, go into this folder, or G through whatever in this one, or like here's Japanese games, here's your different ROM hacks or something, would be in all different folders. So that would be something that I would like to do. I'd like to see, and that's supposed to be coming for the FlippyDrive. I'm not sure about Swiss though. Oh, it supports folders already. There's a Swiss folder in here. So, anyways, that might be a cool way to. I would like to see that for all of these ISO-based game consoles now, because we're getting to the point sooner or later where people might be able to collect every game, collect every game for all these systems and want them on the local disk, as hard drive or SSD prices come down, or SD card prices. Currently it's still kind of pricey to get a 1 terabyte micro SD card. It's about $70 a piece. You can get more expensive ones, but the decent ones are going to be $70, $80. So they're still high-ish, but you can fit all of one region's games on a card. All right, so let's go to Mario Party, right? And we can actually go to the capture both. Let's see if I can kind of make this fair. I don't know what's going on with the cutoff. Swiss is being cut off there on the side. The SanDisk collection. Gotta make these a little bigger. Swiss supports folders. Yep. If you have a broadband adapter, you have technically unlimited storage. Yeah, that's sort of next phase of a lot of these things. Like I know Dustin, aka Make Megahertz, is working on network support for loading network attached storage for the Xbox, so that's a thing. I know. I think also already PS2 OPL loader has a way to do networked storage. Yes, you're right. I think there still is an advantage for people who want to carry around their whole collection, on an SD card. But yeah, I think that network is cool. However, those broadband adapters are like freaking like $200 on eBay, or $200 or $300. And as far as I know, there is not yet a replacement that allows you to do network attached connectivity. I know there is the ETH2GC or whatever, which I do also have from Bonzo somewhere, which is the Ethernet connection thing that lets you connect to do. Oh, here it is. So I have one of these. I do have this, so I will be checking this out. But as far as I know, so this goes into the memory card slot, and then there's an Ethernet jack on the other side. As far as I know, this only lets you do LAN games, so like playing games online, and not necessarily playing or like connecting things to the local area network. I think, right? As far as I know, Swiss has supported it for 7 years. Yeah, no, I that's fine. I think that more options is more better for loading games, and that people don't want to mess with buying SD cards, and I think they can use their Ethernet. That's the mem card Ethernet one is the one this one here, the ETH2GC. There is also the creators of the FlippyDrive are working on a one that will connect to the FlippyDrive itself and be put in the back there. Yeah, the ENC28J60 is too crappy for it. You're looking for the W500. So there is a version that could work. There possibly can be an open source broadband adapter. So that'd be kind of cool. BBAs rarely go over 150. Well, they're still expensive. They're not cheap. Maybe they're not component cable levels prices yet, but I want to see RetroNAS support for Dreamcast. Interesting. Does the Dreamcast have a Ethernet? I thought it might only have a modem connection. But anyways, that's still something that I would like to see, and that might solve a lot of people's problems, on a GameCube, because they don't have to buy really you have to buy, basically you're stuck with buying a 1 terabyte or higher drive. You can't fit every game on a 512 SD card, unfortunately. Yeah, the Wadebird receiver thing looks sick. There's multiple versions of that now. So there's the using a FlippyDrive to connect, I think, to Wadebirds. Then there's also a new replacement. Is it a PCB or something? Something like that. There's there's going to be like an open source. I don't know if I hope that they can. As far as I know, I think that the Wadebird. I'm looking around for my Wadebird. Oh, it's right here. I think that the Wadebird has not great performance, right? I would definitely be interested in lag testing this, because now that I set up the Mr. lag testing thing, I want to test the latency of this through just a normal GameCube. Because I think that it's not the best, but we'll see. You can get a VBA for Dreamcast. Oh, okay. It has Ethernet adapter, but like 2 games I can play with it. Yeah, probably Phantasy Star and I don't know what else. But yeah, it's still cool that people are looking at, we desperately need, in my opinion, I know a lot of people will probably complain about this, but we need just a basic GameCube. I know there's a lot of people that are working on GameCube, like pro level GameCube controller, like Bluetooth controllers. Like I know Handheld Legend is working on one. But we just need a basic like drop-in replacement PCB to turn a normal GameCube controller into a Bluetooth controller like that. I would love that. That we still don't have that. Okay, with all the GameCube mods out now, what would my ultimate GameCube build be? Well, it really comes down to, as far as the mod, it comes down to this list of compatibilities, right? If I know that, Extremis puts a lot of work into Swiss and is really doing like super hardcore overtime, making sure that it's just a stock. Because as far as I'm concerned, sorry, it sounds like dust or something in my throat. Sorry, I'm like coughing. As far as I know, any sort of IPL replacement mod, so like a Kunai GC or a PicoBoot, is all you need. We're going to tell the compatibility in a few minutes. We're going to get into some games and try to load them and just do side by side to see if there's a speed difference or if there's any lag or whatever in the FMVs. But what's really cool, and I think Xtrems can correct me if he's still here if I'm wrong, Swiss can turn with an IPL mod, so basically, or like if you had an action replay, I guess, so like without any hard mods, let's say. I know PicoBoot is a hard mod in the sense that it's a physical mod that's in a console, but it's really a soft mod because it tricks the GameCube to load Swiss without needing anything else, and it only costs, you get let's say it's like $5 or $6, $7 worth of supplies, right? Because PicoBoot runs off of a Raspberry Pi Raspberry Pi Pico, which is $5. Let's say you use a little bit of, if you know how to solder, right? That's that kind of, the baseline is, if you know how to solder, PicoBoot is the ultimate because it's the most inexpensive. And what's cool, I think, about the PicoBoot versus something like the FlippyDrive and the GC loader is, or any IPL mod really, it doesn't have to be PicoBoot, it could be, like I said, Kunai GC. When you load a game through Swiss on a something that's not necessarily an ODE, I think, as far as I know, the GameCube is actually doing the work. The GameCube itself is doing the emulation of whatever is missing. So basically, as far as I know, right, it's like trying to get, like what an ODE actually is trying to do is it's like emulating some of the drive functionality. With an IPL mod, the GameCube itself is doing that emulation of the drive on itself. It's like I'm pretty sure that you have to like not compress games, but you have to like eke out every little ounce of performance, and you have to pull out every single little trick to get the IPL mods with Swiss to do the things that it does, which I think is, from a technical perspective, I don't know all the technical details behind it, but I'm pretty sure that this, like an IPL mod, is using the GameCube itself, versus something like a FlippyDrive or the GC loader. You can load things through Swiss, but Swiss is actually going to be trying to use some of the emulation functions through the whatever drive that you're using. Like, it has the ability to like not connect, but I think Swiss, like, okay, let me use the drive or the ODE, or I could do like how PicoBoot works. So really the conversation then comes down to, can you solder or can you not solder? Because if you can solder, can you afford to have, well, no, I mean, if you can afford to have somebody solder it really doesn't matter, because the FlippyDrive is still going to be cheaper than that. As long as compatibility is the same. So that's the other concern, is price and compatibility, right? If the compatibility is exactly the same, which is unsure, like that's what we're going to be trying to dig in tonight, then it really comes down to whether or not you can solder. If you can solder yourself, then PicoBoot, I think, is just save yourself some money. Obviously, you can get fancy and you can get the PicoBoot, like the 3D print the thing from LaserBear to make it look cleaner. You can get the flex cable from Helder to make installing it easier. But otherwise, I mean, the total package of a FlippyDrive plus the SD extension, which is not necessarily needed if you have all the games on an SD card, or if you're planning to use Ethernet in the future, then it's no problem. But it's definitely cheaper, and I don't even know if the GC loaders are still available, but this is going to be cheaper. The FlippyDrive is going to be cheaper than PicoBoot if you need to hire somebody to install the PicoBoot. This is just easier, and it's no solder. Both of them, you get to keep the drive, right? You get to keep the disk drive with both. So that's a big improvement over the GC loader. And as far as I know, I don't know. Dan really needs to... I haven't really heard from him. I haven't really asked him either, but I haven't heard if they're going to be an evolution of the GC loader that's going to compete with the FlippyDrive, because I don't know if it really can. When using ODE in Swiss is also acting as the ODE. So you have nested ODEs. Okay, interesting. This is necessary for patch file redirection, but it doesn't have to patch files, right? So it can like, can it send things through, or not really? Like, can you turn off the Swiss emulation and send it right to? So I think what you're trying to say is, if I did what you suggested, right? Slap the latest Swiss on the SD card, have it bypass CubeBoot, then that means that basically your FlippyDrive is going to act more like the Pico loader, or FlippyDrive and PicoBoot. Sorry. GC loader is still available. Bitfunks has also came out with functionally compatible Cube ODE. Right, I know there's the GC loader Lite or whatever it is. GC loader is still available. Interesting. Yeah, it has to support all the features. Well, I just mean that the biggest feature that people want is the disk drive. Right, so it's not really like the GC loader is at a disadvantage if you already have one and you don't have a GameCube disc collection. If you don't have a GameCube disc collection, then it's really whatever. It comes down to whatever's cheapest for you. And we're going to find out tonight if, I'm not going to do an extensive test, but we'll poke around some games. I'll stop talking in a few minutes. We'll poke around some games to see if the compatibility is okay between these two. Then it comes down to price, really, because you're just trying to get Swiss on it the cheapest that you can. Right, so this is the the FlippyDrive is going to be cheaper if you can't solder, because you don't have to hire somebody to solder for you. But if you can solder already, then PicoBoot is going to be the way to go, because it's like $5 and some wire. If you already, and also, I guess I wanted to mention that don't feel bad if you already have a GC loader. Don't feel like you have to upgrade. I don't think. I'm pretty sure that you're going to be able to get all the features. I don't think GC loader has any of these speed issues. I'm not 100% sure. That would be a third test, and I do have one. Right, a third comparison to these two comparisons tonight, if I had if I wanted to put the effort in, would be to test it with the GC loader, all three of them side by side. But I don't have a third 1 terabyte SD card. This one's only something. Cheapest option, which also lets you keep the disk drive, is what I did with back of mine. Is the flash a Xeno GC. Sure, but you still have to solder it. Yeah, that's true. GC, I bet you could definitely get Xeno GCs cheaper than a PicoBoot. That's true, but that's that's kind of janky. GC Loader Lite is subject to the clone protection timer. Is an authentic GC Loader still available? GC Loader Lite eBay clones crash on me all the time. I'm not sure. We can Google it quickly. Okay, so that, I guess the original question was Ultimate GameCube, right? So it comes down to that as far as your ODE. Really, you can't really beat Swiss. Swiss is like, Xtrems puts an amazing amount of effort into making sure that compatibility keeps going up over time. So, we'll have to see what kind of other features, additional features, the Ethernet connector from FlippyDrive, to see if that is going to make it functionally better than a PicoBoot thing. But baseline, it's one of those. As far as other things, I mean, you can't really go wrong with any console that has a MemCard Pro. It just kind of saves you the effort of having to think about memory cards. Regardless of whether or not you actually do the cloud save feature, you really don't have to worry about running out of memory cards or managing memory cards, because it kind of gives you one memory card per game. I haven't really done a lot of content about the... I only have one, so I can't really do comparisons in this case, but you can't go wrong with that, just period. Then as far as like video output, I don't know. Xtrems, do you have any what's your recommended video output? I know they're all based off of GC Video. I kind of understand that. So as a baseline, there's the open source GC Video project, which is like, I think it started as a reverse engineering, an attempt at reverse engineering the component cables, the circuitry in the component cables. But it's pretty much morphed way past that now to, the smallest and most convenient things are like the Carby, which is it connects to the digital port and it gives you HDMI output. Those come with like varying degrees of quality. I don't think they make the Carby anymore, which is unfortunate, but they come with the varying degrees of quality for the output. With that being said, the GameCube itself doesn't output RGB. It can't output RGB, I think. So there's a certain level of you can't get to, and I don't mean because it like is not included, but like I don't think the color space of the GameCube is not RGB. It's some weird other color space. So GC Video DVI 3.0. Well, so what physical device though, Xtrems? What's your favorite? What's the one that you like the best? Do you because basically if you choose an internal thing, like I know that the GC Dual isn't made anymore, but let's say that the Retro Gem comes out. Well, I don't even know if they would make a Retro Gem. That would involve for the GameCube. Well, actually there is one already for the Wii. Does that mean that they reverse engineered or they altered, or did they make their own? It seems unlikely that they would make their own when GC Video exists, and it's the best that we can get. When you're right, the EU ones. But even then, I don't know. I think they just output RGB. I don't necessarily know if the color space originates as RGB or not. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think there's the full bit width available from the start. So like, do games look better on a PAL GameCube? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, Xtrems recommends the Carby. Now, which one? The Carby component cables or the Carby HDMI one? So that's probably the best. It's a no solder thing. You just kind of stick it in the back. No jam for the GameCube, but there is one that is working somewhere. I think somebody mentioned one in their Discord. But I mean, if they're working on a gem, well, because basically they're the same. The work to do the Wii is the same as the work to do the GameCube, because they use the same. As far as I know, they kind of use the same sort of. I don't know. That's GC Video. If they're making their own new thing, I don't know what the compatibility will be like. GC Video DVI 3 or later can output YCBCR 422 if you configure it as such. So that's the best. So there's no 444. It's only that chroma subsample 422. I think that, as far as I know, that's the best that you can get. Oh, I see. Carby component cables are an older version of GC Video. So really, you want the HDMI adapter one, even if you wanted, even if you had to back convert that. Well, I would say that most people are probably going forward. If you don't already have a scaler, you're either going to choose, RetroSync 4K if you're loaded, or, more. We're going to have to see what the don't don't yell at me for recommending the Morph. I do enjoy that device, but I'm waiting to highly recommend it until we see the analog bridge. Carby component cables, they don't sell anymore, right? And those are stuck at the older. So I think that's what I would recommend. I have my GC loader system actually has a GC loader. Okay, so GC loader is in there, and I have a GC Dual installed here. So I have a second GC loader too, or GC Dual, but I haven't installed it in either of these. I'm waiting for the RetroGem to come out for this system. So one of these is going to get RetroGem, one of these other systems. And if I can find one, I would like to put a Pluto in the other one. I think Pluto is still based off of GC Video, and you can update it to the latest. So S-Video still looks great. Yeah, I'm sure. And plus, like I said, because you don't get the full 444 unchroma subsampled, like it doesn't originate from unchroma subsampled video, you're always going to have some level of I don't know, dithering and some of the, well, I mean, dithering is going to happen no matter what, but it's never going to be its maximum potential on a GameCube, I think, as far as I know. Like, no matter what you do, that's just like what you can get. Wavebird function, is that only on Flippy board? Wavebird function? Yeah, there's no, as far as I know, somebody is working on an open source replacement. I think it's going to be a controller board. So kind of like, also in my GC loader system, my GC loader system also has the, in front here, the Laser Bear Blue Retro internal mod. So this system is kind of loaded with all those things. But I think I know what, like, Handheld Legend has its own version too, which is not using. So let me show that first. I know we should probably get down to the game compatibility, right? But people are asking questions now about that. So let's see. I think, is it Handheld Legend? Handheld Legend GameCube Bluetooth. Yeah, here it is. So this is something I just found about relatively recently. So here's this NGC internal Bluetooth wireless controller adapter. So this is not, as far as I know, this is not based off of Laser Bear's build, and it's also not based. Well, it doesn't mention, like, shame on them if this is based off of Blue Retro and they didn't mention here. Shame on them. But I don't think it is, because it's not. It doesn't mention that. So I couldn't even call this a clone, because it's not. Like, it's just the fact that it came out after, I can't call it a clone, because I don't think it's based off of Blue Retro. So this is an interesting new development, and I think it's a little bit, I'm not sure actually the price comparison to the Laser Bear adapter, but it sounds like it's got all the same functionality, right? So it's got wired controller detection. So interesting. This is a new development, and plus there's that other, somebody's trying to make a, well, I know there's the FlippyDrive integration with the Wavebird, which I'm not sure. I don't know if that connection is going to be really the best connection. And people are going to argue that the wired is the best connection, but yeah, I get it. But people want wired or wireless options. Okay. I hope that answers most people's questions. Why does it come with a micro SD card and reader? Oh, I don't know. This thing here, probably. I don't know. That's an interesting. That is interesting. I don't know. About $30 cheaper. Interesting. I haven't used that thing at all, so I can't I've got no point of reference. As far as I know, the Laser Bear one also has other benefits of being able to like shut off the GameCube from a controller and things, like do IGR and stuff. Is the lag on Blue Retro is good? Yeah, as far as I know, if it's implementing Blue Retro, it's going to be the same exact latency across the board, no matter what console it's using, because it all is based off of the ESP32 dev board, the same one. So as long as it's using an ESP32, they're going to be pretty much similar. Maybe you have some variants, so like where is it located? Is there stuff in the way that's going to like interfere with the radio signals? But yeah, I put the time into soldering. Have installed a couple Pluto HDMI mods. I want to try that one with the basic lag-free HDMI to component on my HD CRT to see what I think of it. Yeah, that's interesting. The problem is getting those HDMI to component adapters is kind of tricky now, to get ones that still like they don't tamper with the video and they're low latency. Updates maybe. What's the difference between an OG version and the Pro version of the SD2SP2? The difference between the SD2SP2, I think this is what you're asking. So this is the 2.0 version of the SP2SP2. This is the one that Xtrems created. It's not a right angle. So you basically would have to take, if you had let's say you had a Game Boy player on the bottom of your GameCube, you'd have to take the Game Boy player out to access the SD card, because it gets covered up by the Game Boy player. But the Pro, what makes it Pro is it's at a right angle. So it lets you access so it still plugs into the same port, but it gives you the SD card out the side. So that's what makes it the Pro version. But as far as speeds are concerned, you can get either Laser Bear sells this version, the 2.0 version of the original SD2SP2 2.0. Laser Bear sells this. This is the version that Xtrems designed. But in my description, it's not this. This is the 1.0 version. But if you want the 2.0 right angle version of this, there's a link in my description that you can get it for bonzosretro.shop. The updated one, the one that I'm using right now. So, all right, so let's. And also, I guess I'll reiterate that there's also the SD Gecko 2.0, which is the version that goes in the memory card slot in the front, which is cheaper. So I'm spoiled with Sega Mega Drive plus CRT plus 2.4G M30 that has almost zero input lag. Well, what's interesting about 2.4 is if you saw my tweets, I actually lag tested the Retro Fighters controller, and this is a 2.4 gigahertz Xbox controller. It has its own dongle. This actually has more than a frame of latency, so it's about 20 milliseconds average, but it could be anywhere from 1 to 2 frames of latency, which is still fast. It's within 20 milliseconds plus or minus about 9 milliseconds, but just because it's 2.4, and I understand that the 8-bit DOE one is pretty solid controller and people have reviewed it, but just because it's 2.4 does not necessarily mean that it's the fastest connection. It comes down to the implementation. So, he trusts Bob's methodology. Retro RGB has a couple of them listed on his Amazon store that he trusts. Yeah, the problem is, yeah, sure. If Bob has one, you can look in his store. I recommend that, if you're looking for one of those, HDMI to component ones, check if Bob's got one on there, on his Amazon store, but he may not. They come in out of stock. I do have one of them that somebody sent me. I think Fenris Retro sent me one of the fancier ones, but the problem with the one he sent me, it's supposed to be low latency, but it alters the picture. The picture didn't look as good as just the clean signal. So, all right. Anyways, let's load Mario Party. So let's find Mario Party on both of these. Let's get up into the M's. So on the right is, I know it's kind of hard to see. Let me see. Can I duplicate this on my other screen? Full screen preview. There we go. Excuse me. Okay. Okay, Mario Party 5. So we'll load that in a second. Let's get the Swiss. RF Hunter has been so mixed. Oh, yeah. You know, I can understand that Retro Fighters doesn't want to make an OEM style controller, but it's like they're like actively trying not to, right? Like they're not even attempting to make any of their controllers look like the OEM, which that's what saddens me. You know, I appreciate the controllers that are. Honestly, it's going to come down to Nintendo making a GameCube Blue Retro, or not Bluetooth GameCube controller, because I don't know. I don't trust anybody else right now to make one. Yeah. Okay. Oh, whoops. We were already on Mario Party 5. I should load it through Swiss on both. Yeah. Well, I'm going to. I just want to see. Well, being exact, I'm pretty sure that loading them both through Swiss is going to be the same performance. Extrems was saying that they're pretty much the emulation that's involved is going to be the same. Double emulation. That's kind of why people argue that one is an ODE and one is not. When if you're loading it through Swiss, I'm 90% sure that you're not getting any benefits of. Well, actually, Dan Kuntz, who developed the GC loader, he said that I think there is a speed of loading increase through the GC loader, but I don't know if from a compatibility standpoint, if you load these games through Swiss, I don't think there's a compatibility difference. But Extrems would have to tell you that. Okay, so what are we gonna do? We're just gonna load these things. What happens if I just hit both of them at the same time? Okay, we got here invalid or corrupt file. No, I didn't actually load a game. Oh no. Okay, wait a minute. So hold that thought. How do we get down to the bottom menu here? So I think Extrems mentioned that we have to change. Can we change this? Oops. FlippyDrive. That's not good. Compatibility is just no FMV stuttering. I guess, right? I mean, I could care less if one loads faster than the other, as long as it doesn't take an eternity. I don't think people will care that much. There's nothing to change. Okay. Right, that's what I'm saying. It's basically you're getting Swiss if you load Swiss, you're getting the benefits of Swiss no matter what. Okay, I don't know why I'm not able to load any of these games. Does Swiss should support NKit, right? NKit formatted games? Now, where's all my games? What the heck? Okay, we're back here. Why don't these games load? Oh, now they do. That's strange. Is that maybe that's a bug? Now they load. They weren't loading before, so let's get to M's. Mario Party 5. Okay, thank God. Okay, good. It loaded. We're in. I don't know. That was weird. That's not really compatibility. You'd still have the speed advantage of whatever faster device. Right, so that's, well, compatibility, I suppose what I'm trying to say is what people want to know is, are they going to have trouble loading games? I think that you're saying that compatibility is is it going to attempt to load a game or can it load the game? Then I think it's already perfect, right? Or near perfect. It can load every game. But as far as no issues, no skipping issues, that's what people want to know. All right, so let's try it, right? I haven't changed any settings. These are fresh settings for both. So I'm just going to press A for the PicoBoot on the left and start with the QBoot on the right. And oh, I physically disturbed it. Oh yeah, I did jostle it a bit. That's fine. That wouldn't be a problem if I had my the Pico. No, there's so many acronyms and shit I have to have in my head. Game Boy player. God. Okay. All right, ready? Here we go. Whee! Okay, so FlippyDrive didn't have to do any patching, which is fine. Or maybe it did pre-patching or something. I don't know. I guess we're looking for stuttering in this video. Just an FD. I don't really see anything on either screen. I know it's hard to watch both at once, but... I don't really know what this looks like normally. Oh, sorry, I'm probably blasting the music. Well, that was kind of inconclusive because I did not see stuttering at all on either one. Well, it really isn't like, I think people just don't want to, like if they notice something lagging or whatever, then they're going to be mad. They're going to be pissed. I mean, even if it's like, oh, I installed my $5 PicoBoot, you know? Like they just want it to work well. So we're just looking for any kind of stuttering. Oh, I guess it just repeats. I can't hear the audio, so let me fix that. Okay, there we go. It was a little loud. Yeah, they both ran. I didn't see any issues. I don't know if there's any other. I don't think there's anything else that. Guess I should put back the text, right? We'll change what the text says. Left pizza, none beef. Work, dang it. There we go. That's good enough. Apparently the original one did, yeah. Oh, the stuttering is very apparent in this. If they were to stutter. Unfortunately I wish I had the original one. I guess, all right, I do have an original one. You guys want to see that then? Do you want to see the PicoBoot so we can see what stuttering actually looks like? I'll switch it to the original one here. Since I've got it handy. Oh, I lost the 3D print piece. I lost 3D printed piece. Okay, so I have the clone one, the clone SD2SP2 Pro. Stick that bad Larry in there. Ooh, it is very loosey-goosey. I think I need the 3D print to make it not so loosey-goosey. There we go. Okay, got it. So now we're back to the OG SD2SP2. Let's run Mario Kart again. I have to know that PicoBoot has nothing to do with any of this. It only serves to load Swiss. Yeah, no, I said that already. I don't know if you're here. Is that my understanding correct then, Xtrems? Is that the GameCube itself is doing the emulation when it comes to PicoBoot? Right. So like it doesn't have to be PicoBoot. This could be Kunai GC or an Action Replay loading Swiss or Xeno GC with the PicoBoot or the Swiss loaded onto it. Okay, so let's try it again. So this is Mario Party 5. I like how it saved the Mario Party 5 selection here in Swiss. If you use the SD2SP2 2.0 on the FlippyDrive unit, it would work the same as the PicoBoot. I didn't use it. That's just the raw flippy drive. Oh gosh, the audio is terrible. Or was for a second. Oh, here it is, the slowdown. You hear that? Okay, so that's what we're looking. That's what we're hearing. Or that's what we're. I guess that's what we should have expected. And as far as the rest of it, it loads fine. Like after the FMV loads, the game works fine. All right, so let's find another game that the SD2SP2 Pro, or the original SD2SP2 chugs on, and then we can compare that with FlippyBoot. So I guess the takeaway from this game particularly is FlippyDrive. Well, actually, I didn't even really listen to the FlippyDrive. Let's try to redo the FlippyDrive one. I'll switch the audio to only the other one. I'll see if you hear any crunchiness with the FlippyDrive. PicoBoot slowdown. The slowdown is not necessarily from PicoBoot. It's from the older SD2SP2 interface. Okay, so let's just try it again and we'll listen for any crunchies on the FlippyDrive. It's not a movie player. I think it's, yeah, I mean, it'll be subjective. I mean, some people won't care. It's just the beginning of the game. It doesn't slow down the game. I'm just listening for audio issues. As far as I know, the FlippyDrive is supposed to be a faster sort of interface to the SD card. Yeah, I mean, it sounds fine. Cool. Okay, well, I mean, I'm satisfied with that. Let's try to find a different game. Let's go back to this list here. I'm sitting down now, so I'll probably be out of frame. Oh, I'm sort of in frame. Okay, let's go back to this. Anybody else have a game recommendation that we can give a try? Ooh. NBA 2K has a big old red not working. Should we try that game? This is black screen after intro on all devices, but this is an older-ish version of Swiss. With PicoBoot version 0.4, you can even avoid loading Swiss from an SD card, flashing it directly to PicoBoot. So I would say that an improvement to my PicoBoot setup is I would like to get Helder's flex cable, flex install thing, because it has the diode on it, so that if I have to update the PicoBoot, I don't have to unplug the voltage wire. That's the current kind of annoying thing to just a raw. If you're gonna raw dog PicoBoot or Pico Raspberry Pi Pico, if you're gonna raw dog a Raspberry Pi Pico into your GameCube for PicoBoot, then every time you update it, every time you flash it, you have to disconnect the voltage from your GameCube, or else you could do bad things to it. So that's the only downside. But you could just get the diode and solder it into your raw dog connection and raw dog setup, and then you don't have to do that. But the flex cable has the diode on it, so you really don't have to do that. But there's supposed to be an official WebHDX version. WebHDX is the creator of the PicoBoot mod. So I don't know when that's coming. It affects all devices, including the FlippyDrive. Okay, that's fine. So we should save one. NBA 2K2 uses special executable compression. This is a true compatibility issue with Swiss. Okay, got it. Okay, so now it's clear what you meant by. I think when most people say compatibility, or actually I think I originated that term when I talked about GameCube and Swiss stuff. when I say compatibility, I just mean how well does it work with games that it works with, right? I understand, you know, then there's also like, okay, how many games does it work with, which is a separate thing. But it sounds like this. So these games will never work? Or you just haven't found a way to get it to work yet? That's kind of curious. All right, let's try. Oh, whoops, I'm not sponsored by PCBWay. They're just chilling. Sounds like this. Oh. Is NFL 2K3 another one of those titles that just straight up doesn't work? Pac-Man World Rally. So I just have a feeling that now all the stuttering issues are going to be solved between these. We're not going to be able to find another one. So I guess we could try Pac-Man World Rally. Unless you guys want to see what happens with one of those games that just doesn't work. We might as well, for ha-has, why don't we just boot up NFL 2K3? They will eventually work. Okay, that's cool. So that's really what you're getting when you buy it. Well, I guess whatever you're going to buy, eventually it's going to run Swiss on it. But it's going to be compatible with Swiss. But Extrums works very hard to make sure that everything works. So I think everyone in the GameCube scene appreciates the work that you do. Let's just try with the FlippyDrive. I just want to see what it looks like, what the not loading looks like. Just that people can be, you know, understand what a real compatibility thing is. And it really, I suppose in that sense, it really has nothing to do with one or the other. This is just a limitation of this. I don't know. That would mean that PicoBoot also. So basically, this compatibility issue would have to be solved in PicoBoot also, because PicoBoot is not like it's external of, not external, but it's different than. Here it is, NFL 2K3. It's not using Swiss code, as far as I know. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it says intro FMV is okay, then black screen after it ends. Can't get to the title screen or in the game. Swiss is not compatible with PS3 games. PicoBoot has no issues with these games. What makes... That's interesting. Oh, so you're saying that FlippyDrive through PicoBoot is more compatible than FlippyDrive through, well, at least with these games, more compatible with these games than FlippyDrive. Okay, shut up, guy. Is more compatible with these games than. Oh yeah, look at that. Contains a corrupted. I guess we'll just send it. FlippyDrive is still just acting like an ODE because PicoBoot does nothing. Okay, I see. So it's just loading the ODE stuff. Suppose that in that sense. So then there's less of an issue, less compatibility issues with PicoBoot. Not to say that FlippyDrive, or sorry, there's so many things in my head right now. Not to say that there's anything necessarily wrong with Swiss. Just there's some certain games that it has. They're still not working with. Right. PicoBoot is essentially a fancy menu. So that's the difference then between FlippyDrive, I suppose, FlippyDrive and GC Loader, because GC Loader, you could only load one title at a time if you wanted to bypass Swiss. So technically, the GC Loader uses Swiss as its game menu, but technically you could load, because you load the DOL for Swiss right in the beginning, and then you can load games from the GC Loader. But you can load a DOL straight from the GC Loader, and then it has less compatibility issues. But because Dan chose to use Swiss for the game menu, it It basically has all the limitations of Swiss, as far as I know. There's one game that had a problem on FlippyDrive, but it was Ed, Ed, and Eddie. I guess we can check out that other compatibility list too. All right, let's just see what happens when we try to load. NFL. I mean, I know what's going to happen, but I don't know. The people actually want to see it. If we load a game here that we know is going to fail, this is a Swiss thing. Here it is, NFL 2K3. Technically, there is an option technically, there is the option of clean boot in Swiss. Okay, interesting. So you could clean boot. Oh, that must have been added later. So you're saying, Xtrems, that you could clean boot the GC loader from Swiss. I'm muted? Am I muted? I don't think I'm muted. I think maybe I was just thinking really hard. Okay, so let me put the audio on for this game.
Hi there, welcome to Sports Center. I'm Dan Patrick. Plenty of good stuff to get to on the program tonight. But first, our top story of the day. Sega Sports, the authority in sports video gaming, has drafted ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, as a key player to boost its...
Yeah, Eric, we talked about the Flippy Bird, the Wadebird thing. I would love to test it. Is it is it going to be a hardware extension? Oh yeah, look at this. It just doesn't do anything. Okay, so this is an expectation that the PicoBoot currently it's not compatible. So this is a pure quote unquote compatibility thing with PicoBoot. It's not compatible with anything that uses Swiss. So Kunai GC, PicoBoot, frickin' Action Replay, whatever else you can load with stuff. But it seems like if you want to play those sports games, if you really got to have them, FlippyDrive works better. Or it sounds like Xtrems was saying if you have a GC loader and you're using Swiss, there is a clean boot in Swiss. So I'm gonna guess that lets you choose a game and then load the GC loader as if it were loading it by itself individually, which I think has better compatibility because it's a quote-unquote ODE. I say that I'm not saying that sarcastically. I just mean it's very confusing because technically, it's confusing for people who don't have the sort of time that I've got to kind of sit and try to learn about these things as much as I can. They both act functionally like ODEs, like you can load games from them, and they both at a certain level emulate the drive, right? It's an emulator for the optical drive, so that's why I have a hard time calling one or the other an ODE because they functionally both are. Anything that just loads just Swiss instead of through a hardware interface is using the GameCube itself to emulate it. Cheaper than just go to your local Goodwill and find any of those sports games and load the disc because you can. Yeah, true. Okay, so let's see if we can find another sort of thing. Maybe we could switch to. Is there a way to filter by whether or not? Oh, here we go. So now we're filtering through tests. They didn't bother to make it work in their fork. You're talking about the clean boot thing. Does the clean boot thing work with GC loaders? Also, currently Wi-Fi loading. I could not get that to work. Last time we tested the FlippyDrive with the SD card extension, I couldn't get it to work. So I'm just gonna keep clicking through here until we find one of these things here that has a not okay. Oh, okay. This is there's two things here. Two games here. I'm assuming with clean boot you couldn't enable stuff like cheats or force 40p. Okay, clean boot works with any device attached to the disk drive connector. Okay, interesting. So that would be either one. So clean boot that actually can pass through the file, right? So if you choose like, oh, I want to boot, it lets you choose a game to load. So like if I was using a GC loader and I wanted to use the GC loader to load the game without Swiss, I could just choose a game and be like, this is the one I want to load and go through it that way. So I could do this whole video or this whole stream again with the GC loader basically. I know that there's newer revisions of the GC loader that I don't have. That I would rather, I want to test those for compatibility issues because I know that there was some SD card compatibility things. So if someone wanted to buy a new one, someone wanted to buy a new GC loader from Dan, like an official one, there's a whole new set of things that could go wrong with that. Okay, so I guess we should try Twilight Princess. Gauntlet Dark Legacy? Hang on level change. Should we try Twilight Princess again? Text slowdown? I guess we should try that because that's a game that's let's try that. Let's try to load or try to play Twilight Princess. I thought you need Swiss. You don't necessarily need it. So basically, Obi-Wan, you could put, I think if you just, I don't know exactly how you do it, but there's a way that you can load a game directly from the GC loader without needing to go through Swiss first. Okay, so let's boot both of these again. There is some delay. You notice that the FlippyDrive, I started these both at the same time. FlippyDrive takes a little while to show this GameCube logo, so if that really frustrates you that it doesn't load right away, I wonder if they're going to work on speed. Because time the menu here, and I do like the remembering what game you were last playing feature. That's cool. Your GameCube mods are getting long in the toothbrush. Yeah, there is so much new stuff with the GameCube. It's nuts. Okay, so I'm looking for what? Twilight Princess? So that would be under what? T or L? Okay, it's under L. Okay, so let's load that. Then we can look for it. Oh, I've gone too far. Oh, here we go. Wait, is this the Wii menu? Why is the Wii menu in? Is it because they were? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. They just shoved that Wii menu in here because they wanted it to be the same for both the GameCube and the Wii. That's crazy. That screen appeared around 2004, way before the Wii. Oh, really? I should know that, but because actually, I don't know. In 2004, I was playing a lot of Xbox 360 and World of Warcraft, so I don't know. I didn't play that many games, console games. Oh, I do see some FMV jittering, or maybe it's just the FPS of the. Is this an FMV or is this rendered in the game? It could just be the FPS of the game because this is a game. Well, there's something wrong with the colors on my left GameCube. Don't they look a little different? Maybe not. Maybe it's just the colors of the game are just weird in that spot. Okay, so I don't know what text slowdown is. Why does it always say it's corrupted? Is this always going to happen with the Does it always say it's corrupted on the MemCard Pro? So I don't like that, though. I don't like that, but it is what it is. This isn't an FMV. Oh, I quit it. I missed the FMV. Wait, so did I want to be in the FMV part? I thought the text slowdown might be in the game. Should I restart it? God, I don't really know what I'm looking for because there isn't any other information to go on other than text slowdown. Now I won't see the FMV ever again because I created a new game. Why? Because I made a memory card, or I can take the memory cards out. Does that matter? Is the FMV? Xtrubs is yelling at me over the internet. Okay, let's try it again then. I took the memory cards out. I'm getting that damn FMV back. Wait, so the intro is not an FMV, and then there's an FMV that plays that looks exactly the same or similar? Okay, here we go. I honestly was not doing that as a troll. So this is not an FMV. So that makes sense why the frame rate is bad. It's like I don't play any of these games. Okay, when I'm playing these games, I don't like analyze the cutscene in the beginning of it and have two GameCubes side by side. I don't think that's technically playing the game. I didn't actually beat Twilight Princess though either, but I did play a little bit of it. Twilight Princess is probably one of the only Zelda games that, well, I have not beaten either Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, although I played a good bit of both of those. They just don't. They hit different. So the only Zelda games I've never actually beaten, the 3D Zelda games, because there's some 2D Zelda games that I haven't beaten, are this game and Twilight Princess. Or no, this game is Skyward Sword, and the new ones I said, the new games. But all the other 3D games I've beaten. So this is still not the FMV. So I just let it sit, and then it gets to the FMV. Oh, the track mode after the opening sequence is an FMV. Okay, so I have to not press anything here. That's crazy. It's just like, yeah, let's just put this weird FMV here. This should probably be up here. I don't know why it's not. This should probably be like that. This is an FMV. You could tell it is by the way that it is. Okay, so both games are fine. Look fine. I don't think this is where it's supposed to be stuttering. It's just there's some note here on that FlippyDrive dock that said issue text slowdown. Ugh, look at Link's doofy face. This is probably one of my favorite soundtracks of any Zelda, though. This game has a lot of good songs on it. Because this was the first Zelda after Wind Waker, right? It would help if you weren't using composite video. Yeah, well, I don't have two GC video devices. Like I said, I only have the GC Dual. I should just get the. I don't think they make the Carby right now, the HDMI one. I would get the knockoff ones, but are there any knockoff ones that are good? How would it help? Am I looking for, would composite video make this less, not using composite video make this less stuttery? Need that on a t-shirt? I said that to so many people for pretty much every console. What's that? You have the CD? Yeah, I used to just, I don't know, it helps me focus when I'm working my day job just to listen to, I used to listen to a lot more music, like albums. But then when like music streaming came out and like I used to use, not Spotify, but I used, what is it called? There's this app that let you, like a website that let you like find new music. It would recommend you music based off what you had listened to before. FM. There's something FM. I don't know. But I used to use that a lot. And then, I don't know, eventually I started listening to a lot of game soundtrack. I actually probably listened to a lot more game soundtracks in the like the last 15 years that I've actually played games. They're making more Carbies? Well, the thing with the Carby is aren't those like $100? So always the option of phoning the Nintendo head office and being on hold, really? Because they have some sick music? That's a good soundtrack. Okay, well, I really don't know what else to look for. It seems like anything in the Swiss compatibility list is... It's either the FMVs are fixed, or it had some limitation that the 2.0 SD2SP2 or SD Gecko is not going to fix, like those two sports games. So if you look at the list, I'm looking at it in the background. Oops, not that. That's not what I want to look at. This. If you're looking at this list, that if you just Google for Swiss compatibility list, this list does have, it does mention where the old SD2SP2 Pro might have FMV stutters, but the new one going to title screen slightly unclean. So maybe there's not 100% perfect, but I mean, if what you didn't like about it before was that FMV stuttered, I think that you'll be more satisfied with this. So it's worth at least it's worth the $10 to get the new one, if you don't like the FMV stutters. Oh, looks like the Clone Wars has a issue that it crashes. The attract mode crashes. Floppy drive, yeah. Is the current price on the Insurrection Industries? I don't know. Do they use? Oh, they use Nintendo music as hold music. Oh, well, they can't DMCA themselves, can they? Oops, I turned off. That's funny. So let's see. Insurrection. Oh, it's right there. Insurrection Carby. Yeah, $80. It sucks, but they don't have them in stock right now, do they? Yep, out of stock. Bummer. So, but I need two of these, right? So I'm not gonna pay $80 twice. I mean, let's see. What does AliExpress have? Not Alien. Get out of here, Alien. What does AliExpress have for? What is this? I hate that. See, AliExpress always has these ads for absurd shit. Like this is this spikes coming out of a shoe? So I click the weird things to look at them, and then they lead you to this weird other page. AliExpress. Eon, yeah. But I think that is also expensive also. Did you do Rogue Squadron yet? Oh, it will 1000% give it DMCA. Although YouTube is Good Guy Greg now. YouTube actually has the feature that lets you. It must use some kind of AI to mute background music. So if there's a section that it knows, it picks up a song. So that's how the YouTube DMCA thing, or not DMCA, but the what do they call it? The copy protection, the YouTube copy protection stuff. It can detect songs But now they've added a feature where if it did detect a song and somebody was like taking monetization from your video, you can remove just the song and leave your voice. Like if you're talking, it can keep your voice in the background, or cut the music out but leave your voice using some kind of AI. So I remonetized a bunch of videos that were or that had demonetization because of that, and I actually I got them monetized again. So I'm just seeing what there is to see. I know it's going to be a Bitfunk's thing, but I'm just seeing what there is to see for cheap ones so that I can buy multiples of these freaking things. I'm not saying to buy this. You can if you want to. I'm not going to stop you. I don't care. You know, as far as I know, all intents and purposes, they're all using GC video, so there's really no cloning going on here unless they actually took this device from a different vendor. I think also Bitfunks makes the Retrobit Prism, I think, as far as I know. So if anything, they're cloning themselves, but yeah. They do make the Retrobit. I think people found out that Bitfunks, aka Retroscaler, is the OEM behind the Prism, which, you know, I care as far as I don't like the fact that they clone products that people would like to get paid money for. So like the RetroTink 2X they cloned. There's other products that have been cloned out there. It's unfortunate and that sucks really hard, but they do make budget options for people. So people are going to be using them no matter what. Whether you personally have something against them or not, that's not going to stop a lot of other people. And this listing itself has 1,000 plus sold. So people that can't afford the more expensive stuff, they're going to try these out, right? So they're going to do it without. They don't need to ask the internet. I'm not trying to defend. I'm not defending Bitfunks or Retroscaler for that. I'm just saying there's a lot of people in the world that are going to be buy these things because they don't need your permission, right? They just see it. They see a lot of other people bought it. It has good reviews. They buy it. So I don't know. I'm not trying to argue with people. I'm not trying to defend Bitfunks, but here we are. Retroscaler and Bitfunks makes a Carby. Yeah, this is the Carby at home. When we asked Mom for a Carby, she says we already have a Carby at home, and it's this. Bitfunks makes the Prism, and it still has darkness issue that GC Video Lite has. Okay, interesting. Yeah, the Prism component cables. Yeah, here's the component cable version from Bitfunks. I don't see the reason to get this versus the HDMI one. Other than the fact that it would be nice to have, because right now I can't get. Actually no, both of them support HDMI input. So never mind. I have two 4K scalers that could do HDMI input. So I'd rather buy this piece of garbage, the HDMI one. Wait, what is the difference between this one and the other one? This one was cheaper, wasn't it? Okay, it's here. Never mind. It's the same price. Okay, yeah, so I might buy a Carby when they come back in stock, and then one of these, so I can have both. Two GameCubes. I mean, not to say that I need to have this. I'm just saying I want both to be. I want both my GameCubes to be as high quality as reasonably possible. But I don't want to buy two Carbys. That's a lot of money. They buy it because it's the cheapest on the market. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. So like, they don't need your permission to buy it. They don't have maybe they don't have a lot of money. Maybe they do, and they're just trying to get bottom. They're just trying to get a deal. That's all. They don't overthink it. They don't overthink the cloning thing, or that maybe they don't even know about the cloning thing. So I appreciate people that try letting people know that cloning is an issue, but some people might not even get that far. Oh, it was another vendor that may have stolen. That's ironic that a different vendor might have stolen from Bitfunks. That's pretty funny. Okay, so it was not 100% certain if the Retrobit Prism was made is OEM by Bitfunks. The reason for the Prism, the Prism component cable would be to use for on a CRT. The darkness issue kind of kills it, yeah. Right, so that's the thing, is you would have to see, if you really wanted to get, the top, obviously there's two categories of things, right? One is cheap, cheap and gets the job done, and gets the job done means, can I play my GameCube on my HDMI television? in 480p, which, granted, I don't think, if you're going to be buying this, I doubt that you're going to be buying a scaler to put it into, an HDMI 4K scaler to put it into, right? Most likely you're buying this just to have the cheapest thing that you can get. If you want the highest quality thing, then obviously if you have the 4K retro tank already, then you're probably not buying this. But yeah, so that's the one side is the cheap and gets the job done. So then the other side is obviously the highest quality. That's where like you gotta go with what Extrems recommends, because there's a lot of different little, even though they're the same, they're all based off of GC video. There's still some level of hardware involved with all of them. Even as far as that, well, actually, I don't even know with the GC Dual. I don't know how good the output is on that. I mean, I'm assuming it's good, and it's based off GC video, but yeah. The Prism is. I see. The controversy was around the Hyperkin. Oh, I didn't. Was somebody else talking about that somewhere around? I missed it. Oh, I see. Let me just read the comments. I got it. So, okay, Extrems, you did say that they make both the Prism. AliExpress is awful to browse. It is bad, especially when you're like, I don't want anything to do with like weird bras and stuff. Like I'm not trying to be creepy here, but like it's constantly like in your face about just weird stuff just for clicks. I didn't even hear about the Hyperkin Armor New View HD. What the hell is that? Hyperkin Armor 3 New, what is it called? New View HD? What is this? Holy shit. $80. It's not even listed on Amazon anymore, but it was. Oh. See you later. Did they nuke this? I think they might have gotten rid of it. That is actually pretty funny. What is this? Pound cable. So they're just like, yeah, for our shitty effort for a plug and play one or a dongle, let's just release this piece of garbage. So this is your option for Hyperkin. Is this what is this? Why do I need to log in? Oh, this is just for resellers. So it's literally just the pound cable clone, and they got rid of the other things. Analog stick module. That's kind of neat. The repair box. Repair box analog module. Shorter and stiffer for games like Smash Bros. Melee. I wonder if people are like, yeah, I love the repair box. It's the only stick I use. Okay, sorry, we got off on a tangent. I'm amazed your search results don't show 3 relevant items and then a sex toy. They will. If you search hard enough, you probably will. So I guess, actually, while we're here, I may as well mention this. Oh, I didn't even use it. I have it, but I forgot that I had it, actually. I have this, and I haven't mentioned it on the channel yet. I bought this. This is a Bitfunks. I think Bitfunks might be Retroscaler, actually. This is the Blue Retro. The Bitfunks Blue Retro GameCube adapter thing. So it's just got 4 little dongles. It's not really elegant. It's not as elegant, obviously, as the internal one is. And there is this RetroTime. RetroTime makes the RetroTime makes the individual Blue Retro ones. But this is kind of like, as far as Blue Retro is concerned, the firmware for Blue Retro was designed to maximize all the ports on any given system with a single ESP32 module. So in a nutshell, it's sort of more energy efficient to have a single dongle with, I mean, it's probably negligible. We're talking probably, I don't know, what, half an amp or a quarter of an amp maybe or something per usage, or per dongle. But if you need 4 of them, it doesn't make sense to use 4 of the individual ones when you can get something like this. No offense, to the individual sellers, or like Humble Bazooka makes some, not a GameCube one, but other consoles. But the only reason I brought this up is because Bitfunks does support Darth Cloud, and so does Humble Bazooka and Retro Time, so they both support them as well. But it's one of those items that's not necessarily like a clone and then it's bad thing. Retro Time Bitfunks actually does support Darth Cloud financially, so I don't know if you necessarily need to feel bad, other than buying the Bitfunks Blue Retro adapter for this is allows you to connect a Bluetooth controller to a GameCube if you didn't know. The only thing that you should feel bad with is the pricing is really awesome for these compared to some of the individual adapters. I don't know if that means the quality is worse or whatever, but they can pump these out, so that's probably why they can get such a good deal on them. Yeah, I know Bitfunks and RetroScale are the same. Yep. There's also a third name I think they go by too. I think, but yeah. Hyperkin Pound and Level Hike should be avoided at all costs. Bitfunks, High Speedio or whatever it is, knocking off Blue Retro now too. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Well, I know you also want to avoid Blue Dash Retro. I just say this because I've heard from this one really makes Darth Cloud upset because they took I don't know if he had this originally, but they started the Blue Retro, like they had a Twitter handle that was literally like Blue Retro, and they were, not to say that they were like impersonating Darth Cloud or the Blue Retro project, but it seemed like they had originated this Blue Retro project when it is based off of Darth Cloud's Blue Retro project. But Darth Cloud now owns BlueRetro.com. That's where you can buy the BRX adapter. It's not for sale right now, but Blue-Retro.com is this site where they have. I do have to hand it to these people, although I don't want people buying. Like, I would rather you buy the Bitfunks ones to give support to Darth Cloud. I'm not sure if these people do give any compensation to Darth Cloud. I'm not really sure about that, but I do want to say that this project is more in the spirit of the original Blue Retro project than any other project, because if you look at the documentation for the Blue Retro project, it has like this core, right? So there's a separate board that like encapsulates the ESP32. So if you look at this Blue Retro core thing here, the shiny square in the center here with the little antenna sticking out of the side of the left thing, that is the ESP32 module itself. So then there's other, like, you can look at the schematics on the Blue Retro site. It's nicely encapsulated in this little module here. And then all you need to do is swap the different firmware that is loaded on the ESP32 and connect the appropriate cable. So this is like kind of not hot swap, but like you can have one of these Blue Retro core modules and then any of the other connectors, and you just need to change the firmware, and it will work with any different console. So I don't want anybody to buy this because, one, it aggravates Darth Cloud himself. He said he doesn't like these people. They tried to impersonate his brand, I suppose, before, and I'm not sure if they give him any money because it's the right thing to do if he uses open source stuff. But I do appreciate this project because it is the most like the GitHub repository. If you're going to dive into the actual, like, if you wanted to make your own adapter, this is the most like how the GitHub repo is. So I hope I didn't butcher that. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to talk about. But yeah, so don't avoid these people here. I just figured I'd point it out. But if you go to BlueRetro.com, without the dash, now Darth Cloud does own this other domain. I don't know if he didn't always, but this is where you can find the information about the BRX. Not like all the adapters that are out there, but for that you need to go to the GitHub to find more details. So I wish Ion didn't make their products poorly. I would pay the price for a GC HD Mark II to have both HDMI and component out. Yeah, it's true. They went through all the effort to create one. Well, is it just a matter of it doesn't look good, or is it just, yeah, that's it, right? I guess. High Speedio knocked off Laser Bear's Blue Retro adapter for GameCube and made a custom fork of the Blue. Oh, I did hear about that. Yeah, if you use a normal Blue Retro on their stuff, it bricks it, so they cheaped out on it. or they did that on purpose so that, I don't know why you would do that on purpose. I don't know. That seems stupid. It's a freaking open source project. Why would you put... all right. I don't really know what else we could do. Internal electronics issues. I don't know what else we could do as far as comparisons. I guess we saw that there is a giant leap. Maybe not giant, but if the issues that you were having with the original SD2SP2, and I'm assuming the SD Gecko is the same performance with the FMVs being choppy or whatever, you are going to see a benefit of getting either the SD2SP2 Pro, well, I guess the cost of this version through LaserBear, you can get the SD2SP2 Pro from Bonzo. I think it's the same cost. So the Pro one is really the one that you probably should get. Not to say that I like Bonzo over LaserBear. That's not what I'm trying to say. LaserBear doesn't yet sell. I don't know if he ever will sell a right angle SD2SP2 Pro, but Bonzo does, and they're available in a link in the description as an affiliate link. Or you can get the SD Gecko version, which has it's cheaper. It's $2 cheaper. Internal electronics issues. Oh yeah, I've heard them talk about the Ion product or the broadband adapter. Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so true. If you don't want to even go through any of those things, well, Xtrems, I don't necessarily know if I recommend somebody. You could buy the right angle SD2SP2 Pro and a 1 terabyte SD card, which is going to fit every single region game. I could fit all the United States games on a single terabyte SD card for cheaper than the broadband adapter. So I don't know. I don't know if I recommend people go out of their way to look for the broadband adapter. But if you already have a broadband adapter, you can save the 10 or 12 bucks on the SD2SP2 Pro and just load your games through the broadband adapter through... Wow, offended? You can load the games through the broadband adapter. Now, I'm still waiting for the day that we are going to have a clone of the broadband adapter. If we get a clone of the broadband adapter, then I probably will recommend that instead, because that gives you a lot more, depending on how much it is, obviously. Because that has a lot more usability with, obviously, you will be able to load games through the network, but also play games online. Well, there are newer network adapters, Brian Chambers. Here's one. I talked about it earlier, but they don't work with Swiss or for loading games over the network. For some reason, there's a limitation. I guess it's a speed limitation. They don't let you stream the games over the network. So yes, there are these newer style broadband adapters for playing, connecting to a game, like a LAN game. I guess there's a big Mario Party community, a Mario Kart community, I should say. Right, so this Ethernet adapter doesn't work for streaming games from. But it sounds like Xtrems, there's something in the works for that. So just hang tight. If you don't want to save the 10 bucks, if you already have an SD2SP2 Pro version 1, and you don't care about the FMVs, don't buy anything. Because we're gonna, there will be updates to this form of the ETH2 GCC, which is it goes into the memory card slot. There's probably going to be, I'm hoping there's a version that will go on the underside where the actual broadband adapter is supposed to go. So it goes here, normally the broadband adapter here. Did you send you the pin header to go with the memory card network adapter? No, they're in there. They're in here. What do you use the pin header for? I thought this just connected to that. I don't understand why you need a pin header. I'll have to look at the instructions. I haven't gotten there yet. I might do the slim one. I'm not really sure. What's the point of the right angle adapter thing? It's in here. This is what Bonzo has sent me some of these things. I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show off the stuff that some of the stuff they sent me. So it's in there. BBA is goated. Yeah, I want to see actually. Let's check on eBay. Let's check eBay. How much is a good old GameCube broadband adapter? So you got to be careful when you're looking for broadband adapters for the GameCube. There are also, oh, whoops, I probably should switch to this. If you're looking for GameCube adapters for the GameCube, Ethernet adapters for the GameCube, the broadband adapter, there are two different ones. There's one that's for a modem, then there's the broadband adapter one. The one that has a modem, it's this one. So the modem adapter it's shaped sort of similarly, but it's for a phone line. So you don't want this one. Right, you get kind of caught up in the hey, it's only $50 for the broadband adapter, but you need to get the one that is the broadband adapter, the high speed one, or else you're gonna have a bad time. So, like I said, if this is what you want, you can spend $140 to save $90 because $10 for or $12 plus shipping. So let's call it $20. $20. For the SD2SP2 Pro 2.0, and let's say $80 for an SD card, so about $100 to fit every game for the U.S. region, or you can buy the broadband adapter. So I suppose if you add together all the stuff, right, the SP2 Pro 2, the SD card, plus if you want to buy this to play network games, just buying the broadband adapter will. I don't know how much this costs actually. Through Bonzo, do you know off the top of your head what the E2GCC or E2GC is going for? If you have all this, if you bundle all that stuff together, it's probably close to the broadband adapter in price. So you may, if you're going to buy all of those things and you don't have any of them already, then you might as well buy the broadband adapter because it will do all three of those things, as far as I know. Well, it will do all those things in the fact that you don't have to buy a terabyte SD card, and you don't have to buy the SD2SP2, and you don't have to buy the GC thing. Thanks for the kind words. They're region free. What did I say? Did I say something bad? Oh, $20. Okay, got it. So yeah. So I mean, that's that's up to you if you want to just buy the Ethernet adapter. I don't know. That's up to you. It sounds like you can get it for a $130. But if you don't want to deal with that, or if you want to piecemeal buy it, then I see nothing wrong. Because I think eventually there's going to be a new a replacement, like a. Well, actually, I don't know, because isn't the M.2 loader supposed to go where the broadband adapter went? So we're gonna have to wait for an M.2 loader that also is an Ethernet if we want it through the bottom here. Although I guess, according to Xtrams, there's probably going to be a fast enough Ethernet that sticks through the front there. I don't even use the broadband adapter for game images, just for PSO. Oh, okay. Right, that's what I'm saying. If you just want to play network games, then that's where the GC, ETH2GC comes into play. I convinced you to buy the broadband adapter. I mean, hey, if I find it at Retro World next week, I might buy one. You paid like $50? Damn. That's cray. Get Bonzo stuff. Yeah, Bonzo's good guy Greg. Good guy Bonzo. I've had a lot of luck with untested things. They're usually a lot cheaper. Yeah, but I think there's only so much. There's only so much that you can do. So much lower. Like, these just go for a lot of money. There's a lot of broadband adapters here. A lot of or modem adapters, not broadband adapters. I think the going price is just $130, no matter what. I'm curious what the price is on like Buy or like Yahoo Auctions Japan is. Maybe it's cheaper to do it that way, if you're already buying some stuff from Japan. But yeah, the price is. Oh, look at this! It's one of those SD Gecko, not SD Gecko, SD Geckos. WebHTX is coming out with a combo SD2SP2 2.0 Ethernet combo adapter. It's not 2.0. The tricks conflict with each other. That's interesting. That's good to know. Okay, so you would not be able to... Well, the tricks conflict with each other, but you would... Oh, I see. So you literally would not be able to do that at the 2.0 speeds. That's interesting. Buying 6 broadband... Directions unclear. Bought 6 broadband adapters. Got a cheap one through Yahoo Auctions, but now I need to double check if I got the modem one. Yeah, I would definitely... I mean... Yeah, I hope you didn't buy the... it's so easy. I mean, you have to look for the shiny sticker. The broadband adapters have the shiny... And they say, obviously, they say broadband adapter on it. But the modems only have like this black label on it. Just kind of a bummer. You paid $30 for a Dreamcast BVA mouse and keyboard back in the day. Well, really, I don't see a reason for the M.2 loader anymore. Not the sidetrack away from your question, but I don't see a reason really for the M.2 loader anymore. I mean, what are the prices for an M.2 SSD? 1 terabyte M.2 SSD. It's probably got to be that around. Oh, it has to be a SATA M.2 SSD. So it can't be an NVMe SSD. Okay, so the prices are better for SATA SSDs. So let's see, what's a 1 terabyte one go for? Actually, we can do this Western Digital Blue. So this Western Digital Blue is a SATA SATA M.2 form factor SSD. Excuse me. So let's see, how much is a 1 terabyte? Old generation? What's an old generation? Okay, so it's still more expensive. Well, at least this Western Digital brand. I'm sure there might be other brands that are cheaper. I think it's negligible, the difference, the cost between one of these and the M.2 loader, or just buy a 1 terabyte SD card in this, or the the network adapter. The future, I'm assuming that there's going to be an update to this ETH2GC that will allow you to stream games from it. So if you don't want to buy anything, don't buy anything. Just wait a little bit. I don't know how long, but you might wait a couple of years. But they're hard to find the right SSD. Yeah, the SATA SSDs versus the NVMe ones. PlayStation 2 Portable is great, but not enough sellers. Check the price of the... Yeah, well... Nobody cares about the Dreamcast. Just kidding. I should get one of those, although I don't know really why. I don't really do much with the... $150. I don't really do much with my GameCube, so it's about the same. Oh, you're just trying to tell... Razor, you're just trying to see what the price difference is between when you bought it before and now? Actually, it looks like there's fewer of them, too. I don't see as many. What the hell is that? Universal Remote for Instagram? What the hell? I only see 2 listings for the actual... Oh, so here's one that's probably in the box. That's $300, but here's one for $130 plus $10 shipping, so $140, or $150 with free shipping. This bad boy is also expensive, so there should be one of those too. So I had high hopes for the SD2SP2 Pro too, but it still skips on cutscenes with games like Rayman. Really? We can test it. Which game? Which Rayman game? Let's see. Let's check the Swiss compatibility list. Oh yeah, look at that. Rayman 3. Semi-passive, which is what the 2.0 is called. FMV still skips, but I believe not as much as before. Okay. Okay, interesting. So there could still be some games like Rayman 3 apparently. I'm just curious. Let's see if the FlippyDrive, now that we know that there is a game that is like not, it's compatible with Swiss, but there's still some kind of a problem. So let's just do that before I call it a day. Let's put these both back up. There's a project to make a cheaper Dreamcast BBA. Oh, okay. You have to harvest something from it, though. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for Rayman. Oh, wait. QRST. Okay. Yeah, we should be able to access it. Where is it? Rayman 3. Okay. All right. Let's go to... Okay, let's check it out. Yes, I am. For both of these consoles, I'm using the Mr. Add-ons Reflex Volt for both the consoles, so that's pretty neat. So far, I mean, for me to give my ultimate decision about whether or not I can recommend them to people, like go buy this over like a third-party one or even like an OEM one, if the price difference is that close, I would want to do an actual power draw test. As far as, you know, it has to do with making sure that the actual adapter, the whatever, the power brick, it's not, you're not really, at that point, you're not really testing the cable, like the actual Reflex Volt cable. So if you know for a fact that you have a really high quality power supply, really high quality USB charger, I don't see any reason why it's not going to be good for this case. Zaxor, I know I would like to do my own verification, and he kind of gave me some ideas about how to do that. But Zaxor he tested his Reflex Volt, and it's about the same as, actually, he said it might be a little bit better than the Triad, but I don't know what charger he used, so I can't really say much beyond that. But yeah, okay, so let's load these games. Okay, so I guess I have to hit the underpants. I don't have a memory card in either one. Oh yeah, look at that. So FlippyDrive works fine. I hear the audio is really struggling. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, never mind. I can't, this is not a valid, I was using the old one. I was using the old SD2SP2, not the new one. But FlippyDrive is a champ. I don't hear the music. I'm not listening to the music right now, but now I am. Well, that was dumb. Sorry, guys. That was not the new SD2SP2 Pro 2.0. Man, I don't know then. I mean, I think eventually Xtrems will probably get all the compatibility issues out, but I guess this is what I was trying to figure out, is clearly there is compatibility issues. When I say compatibility, I mean the FMV. So when I say compatibility, I mean, like, does this game act like a disc? Right? That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's boot into this with the 2.0. Here we go. Underpants. It's definitely not stuttering as much as before, but it is still stuttering. How's my Bambu Lab spinner been? Pretty good. The interesting thing about comparing it to my Voron is that the Bamboo Labs printer has a smaller build plate, which is actually better for detail. The smaller your build plate is, the flatter it, well, the less likely it's going to warp. The magnetic build plate, really, I guess, and also, you know, you obviously have more surface area to warp. This song slaps. So, it has been really good. I love the AMS is really the killer feature. It works even with ABS filament too, which is really awesome. The AMS. I have not used my Voron since I got it. So yeah, I do think that in order to take full advantage of any printer, although, you know, if I don't have the X1 Carbon, but I do still have to tune the P1S because the P1S doesn't have the pressure advance tuning, auto pressure advance that the X1C does. So I have basically anytime I use a new filament and I want to guarantee that I have the best quality print out of anything, and really this is any printer, you should do this. Even I think the X1C doesn't do any. So here's what I do. For the most part, the flow is already spot on. If you used, you know, let's say you buy Bamboo Labs filament, if you use the Bamboo Labs profile, or if you use Polymaker filament and use the Polymaker profile, so far I found that the flow, which is one of the calibration steps you can do, is usually spot on from the profile. So that's step one, is to do flow. Step two is to do pressure advance, which I use Orca Slicer, the pressure advance tower. So that's the second step, is I tune pressure advance for each filament. So every filament, and if you're really serious about it, technically it's every filament and every color of that filament, because the pigments can change the parameters of how the filament flows. So what pressure advance gets you versus not tuning pressure advance, which the X1C has, is it will improve the sharpness of your corners and stuff. You're going to get, like, if you don't tune it at all, you could get sort of like not as crispy corners on your prints. So I would at least tune pressure advance for each manufacturer of filament, but ideally you would tune it for every single color also. Well, that's step two. The step three is using, I don't know who makes it. There's the cauliflower. Not cauliflower, you idiot. Here it is, the cauliflower calibration thing. I think, is this the person that makes it? There's somebody that you have to spend a little bit of money and buy it. Maybe it's this? Vector 3D, I guess? Sure. But this lets you use this to tune shrinkage for each filament also. So you print this out, then you use calipers, and you fill out a spreadsheet, and this will let you determine if the shrink rate of the filament. So I use this also. So that step one is the flow rate, but that's usually fine with the Bamboo Labs thing. Step two is pressure advance tuning, which I think the X1C does by itself. But step three would be to calibrate shrinkage if you care about fitment, like if you really need to have things fit well, which I would highly recommend if you're going to do anything like, I guess, probably the SD Gecko, like any prints that are small, but you want them to look really good. Like when I print the ETH2GC shell, I'm going to have to calibrate the gray. Actually, I probably won't. I probably just use the one. I just tuned an ABS profile, so it's fine. But because otherwise you're going to be off. But you could be off by 1% or whatever, but that might throw off your screw holes or alignment of things. Actually, I didn't, when I printed the shell for my Game Boy Macro, from the Humble Bazooka Game Boy Macro, the top shell here, I didn't calibrate the shrinkage, and actually doesn't fit properly. So I calibrated that color. Fuck. I lost something. I calibrated that color and I reprinted it in blue, so I have to swap over the new one. So it was like 1 or 2% off, which actually makes a big difference. It might not seem like it would, but yeah, just that's if you want to be a stickler about every little precise thing. Isn't that built into the display? Well, it's in it, but it's not like enabled. The pressure advance is not enabled, I don't think. Plus, I mean, like I said, it's not going to be those profiles are only going to do so much. You know, they're not going to be exact. And like I said, literally every color is going to be different. They might be close, but I've had Polymaker filament one color like gray or something, and then the next color black. The parameters are different, and it's not going to look it's not going to look perfect. You know, if you want it to look perfect, but like I said, that's just me. I'm just a stickler for all these details. But I noticed the Game Boy Dust cover for OCR has varying fit from print to print. Oh, that's weird. Only 3D print shrinkage, not swimming pool shrinkage. Yeah, swimming pool shrinkage. Right. So you could save the profile. You could save the. I have profiles set for each brand. So like when I do calibration, well, I usually stick with one brand. So either Polymaker. I do have some Overture or whatever, but I don't really like Overture brand that much. And I do have some Polymaker, some Bamboo Labs stuff. So I take whatever brands and whatever. So like Polymaker ABS, I start making a Polymaker ABS profile. But what I do is I keep the color that I calibrated in the profile name. So like I'll do Polymaker ABS black, and then I make a profile called calibrated, and I know that that's calibrated for black. So then next time I print a different color with that same filament or same manufacturer, I try that one. But really in the back of my head, I know that if I need the fitment to be perfect, I know I'm going to have to do the cauliflower print for it, because that's that's the only way. This also can do not just shrinkage, this cauliflower, the calibration flower thing. It doesn't just do shrinkage, but it also can check skew. So like if your X and Y are not in alignment as well, it can do skew correction as well. So there's all sorts of weird things. It's probably more, I don't know. I mean, I guess this could be skew with anything. And it's not, this is not like, a 3D printer is not necessarily a precision instrument. I mean, it kind of is, but yeah. Ironically, the A1 does flow dynamic calibration on each print. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know why they didn't do it on the P1S. The P1S is kind of the camera is like, it's like half a frame per second. Like it literally takes it like 2 or 3 seconds sometimes for the camera to reset. I don't know. Okay, or for the camera to update. So it sounds. I know we kind of got off course with talking about stuff. I want to summarize, I suppose. It looks like so far, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible to Xtrems as we still here. It sounds like there still is a compatibility advantage from both, like literal game compatibility, whether or not the game even loads or works after the cutscene or whatever, the initial cutscene. So like the NFL game just straight up doesn't work so far with Swiss just with Swiss with just a PicoBoot or a IPL mod, versus it worked no problem with FlippyDrive. Mario Party FMVs were solved in both cases, so it doesn't matter which one you use. But Rayman is interesting. Rayman 3, the stutter of the FMV is better with the SD2SP2 Pro 2, but it's not as good as the FlippyDrive. I don't know if there's any other games that are like that, but that's the one case where if just the tiniest little bit of FMV stutter drives you nuts, then you're not gonna be happy with the 2.0 yet. So I don't know, like I wouldn't say like ditch your setup to get a FlippyDrive, but so far it looks like FlippyDrive is aiming to be the best mod that there is out there. I didn't check the GC loader with any of those. I'd be interested to see if GC loader is different through any of those games. You use eSun PLA and Elegoo PLA Plus. Good results for the price, about $12 a kilogram roll. So trying to get PETG dialed in. Yeah, PETG I mean, I have like once you get a sophisticated like a Bamboo Labs printer, you have no problem with any filament basically. Although I did have a problem with TPU. I had to slow down the print speed to about 50%, otherwise it wouldn't print well. So I don't know. Can I post the link with the game compatibility table? Sure. I'll put this. I'll try to, if I remember, I can put this into the description as well. So here's the Swiss list. And then this is the FlippyDrive list. GC loader works with the Rayman, no problems. Okay, so that's the function of the drive emulation of the both of those games. Side note: the cauliflower calibration model is $1 less on printables. Huh? Interesting. I don't know. Just wherever you can find it the cheapest. I paid for it. You know, it costs a couple. You know, a couple $5, $10, whatever it is. But there's occasionally new versions of it that come out and that you get access to if you pay for it, and it's worth it just to. That print is really helpful. You know, it kind of opens your eyes as far as like how bad shrinkage could be. Even at, you're supposed to be able to upscale it too. If you had a larger printer, obviously as the prints get larger, the amount of shrinkage or the shrink rate changes. Like, you know, like 1% of 100 millimeter print obviously is going to be a lot worse if it's a huge print, like 200 millimeter print or something. So, all right, I went way over. How do I load a game on Game GC Loader without Swiss? I can look it up quickly just so that people have the info in this video. GC Loader load game without Swiss. I think what you do for having Swiss load is you have to have a boot.iso or boot.dol file on your SD card or whatever. I think all you have to do is change the name of the file of the game that you want to load to boot.iso or boot.dol, and that will load it. I think that's all you have to do. So, or it sounds like maybe you could just have one file in your thing, but 4 months ago, Xtrems wrote the boot through IPL option should be used over that. Oh, clean boot? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that's how you do it. I think you just have to name whatever game that you have to boot.iso or boot.dol. That will load it. Or I guess actually probably just boot.iso. So that's really manual, right? You have to change every name every time, the one game at a time. You can't have like multiple games with that. So, yep, it's a lot of work, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're only playing like Rayman or whatever, and you wanted to just make sure that Rayman ran well, you could just do that for one game and then whatever. All right, I went way over time tonight. But we got into it. If you have any more questions, if you're watching the VOD or if you are in the chat now, if you have any more questions, you can always you can reach out to me at Twitter, on Twitter or X, whatever, or you can write a comment here. If you want to, I guess I'll say again, you can get the SD2SP2 Pro and the SD2SP2 or SD Gecko 2.0, so the 2.0 versions of both of those things. In the link in the description, there's two separate links for one and the other from Bonzo's Retro Shop. Those are affiliate links, so they support the channel. So yeah, you can support the channel through that. All right, that's pretty much it. Goodbye, everyone. We'll be back on Wednesday. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do Wednesday. I have everything to finish the Micro 8088, but I don't know if people care about that right now. Maybe I'll just get it buttoned up and then I'll have another stream about later in the future about how to use XT because that's kind of a head scratcher. And how to use. We still have yet to use the OPL2 sound card. Actually, we have a Pi mod for PS1s. Works similar, just loads one asset at a time. But I have plenty of other mods to do. Like I got the. Oh yeah, I have the. Man, I have the SYF Game Boy or Game Gear full thing with the Ben IPS screen. So that's a whole new. I bought a whole brand new one of those, like the top of the line, the newest one. And I have the Console Unleashed, or is it Consoles for You? I don't know, one of those. Game Boy Consolizer, the new AIO ones that has the universal boards. So I have that stuff. Plus, I didn't say this before, but yeah, I reached out to Voltar to see if he would let me pre-buy the Edge Enhancer, SNES Edge Enhancer, and he says he has some built, but only for one particular model of SNES motherboard that I don't have. So he said if I had that motherboard type, which I don't remember off the top of my head, if I had that motherboard type, he would have sold me one, or would sell me one to do, but I don't have that motherboard type, so I don't know what I'm cooking the next stream. It might be the Game Boy Consolizer. Maybe I'll do a vote on Twitter, or it might be the Game Gear thing. But Bonzo's got more stuff that he's sent me. He did send me the E2GC, so maybe we could try to get Mario Kart Double Dash LAN working. That might be fun. They call it the Pico Station. Oh yeah, the Pico Station. Okay, sorry. Goodbye.